Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we peel back the corporate curtain and see what is really going on behind the numbers. Today we are diving into a filing that might seem a bit dry on the surface, but trust me, there is a story of significant fundraising and strategic moves unfolding here. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you are subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below where we break down these filings even further. Tamboran Resources Corporation, a company involved in energy development, has dropped some pretty important news. They are essentially talking about securing a large chunk of money and getting ready for some big projects. They've been busy engaging in what they call a subscription agreement and an underwriting agreement. So what does this mean for you and me? Well, on the 24th of October 2025, Tamboran announced they were selling shares of their common stock to a group of investors, including some big names like Brian Sheffield, their largest shareholder, and Scott Sheffield, who is on their board of directors. This deal is expected to bring in up to $29 million. The price for these shares is set at $21 per S-share. Now, this money injection is not a done deal yet. It needs approval from the company's shareholders, and some other typical closing conditions need to be met. What is really interesting here is what Tamboran promises in return. They've agreed to do their best to file a registration statement with the SEC within 30 days after the deal closes. Think of this as a way to make sure those shares they are selling can be legally resolved by the investors later on. They aim to get this registration statement approved as quickly as possible. No later than 60 days after the deal closes usually, but sometimes it can take up to 90 days if the SEC decides to do a deeper review. They also commit to keeping this registration effective for a certain period, basically making sure those investors can sell without too many restrictions for a while. But that is not all, folks. Tamboran also entered into an underwriting agreement on the 22nd of October 2025. This sounds a bit like they are getting help from big investment banks, specifically RBC Capital Markets and Wells Fargo Securities, to sell their stock. They were planning an underwritten offering of about 2.3 million shares of their common stock. And guess what? Those banks, acting as underwriters, also had an option to buy an additional 348,666 shares. And they did. They exercised that option in full. This whole underwritten offering was actually part of a pre-approved plan called a shelf registration statement. This statement was filed earlier in the year, back in June, and became effective in July. It is like they had a pre-approved menu of offerings that they could tap into when the time was right. They've now used this to do this offering, and the big news from this part of the deal, the underwritten offering, is that it closed on the 24th of October 2025. From this offering, Tamboran expects to bring in approximately $52.5 million after all the fees and expenses are paid. This is a substantial amount of money, and what are they going to do with it? They plan to use it to fund their development plans, which likely means expanding their energy projects for working capital, which is the money they need for day-to-day operations and for other general corporate needs. This money is likely crucial for their growth strategy. To keep everyone in the loop, on the 22nd of October, Tamboran put out press releases announcing both the launch and the pricing of this underwritten offering. Then, on the 24th of October, the day the offering closed, they released another statement confirming the closing. These press releases are basically their way of communicating important company news to the public and investors. Now, I know what you are thinking, all these deals, all these dates, what is the big picture for Tamboran Resources Corporation? Looking at the numbers, this is a company actively seeking and securing significant capital. They've successfully executed 2 major funding rounds, the private placements through subscription agreements and the public offering through underwriting. This indicates strong investor confidence, especially with key figures and institutions involved. The total capital raised from these 2 events, the subscription agreements aiming for up to $29 million and the underwritten offering bringing in about $52.5 million, means Tamboran is likely preparing for substantial growth or expansion initiatives. This is a classic sign of a company ready to accelerate its development plans, likely in the exploration and production of energy resources given their name. What are the risks here? Well, the dependency on shareholder approval for the subscription agreement still exists. Also, the terms for reselling those shares for investors mean Tamboran needs to successfully navigate the SEC's registration process efficiently. If that process gets bogged down, it could put pressure on those investors and potentially Tamboran. Furthermore, the effective use of these $52.5 million is paramount. If the development plans don't yield the expected results, this capital infusion could become a missed opportunity. In conclusion, Tamboran Resources Corporation is demonstrating a proactive approach to funding its ambitious development goals. The dual approach of private subscriptions and a public underwritten offering shows a strategic effort to maximize capital while engaging a broad base of investors. The company is essentially betting big on its future projects, and the market seems to be signaling support. The key will be execution and delivering on those development plans. Alright, that is our breakdown of Tamboran Resources Corporation's latest filings. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think they are on the right track with this fundraising? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps. And subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.